Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Monday afternoon, and some massive news for the LSU fans coming out of the recruiting trail. Four-star cornerback Havon Finney, who is supposed to be announcing his top three schools, ends up just scrapping that, committing to LSU, box checking cornerback. Like, this is, to me, he's a reclass kid from 2027 to 2026. Not worried about the reclassification. This kid checks every single box that you want in a boundary cornerback. And the thing that stands out to me is we knew in the 2024 year, LSU probably didn't have the quality of defensive backs that they needed to kind of run that Coach Baker defense. They addressed it immediately in the transfer portal, bringing in some legitimate difference makers through the portal in the secondary. They don't want to have to rely on the portal in the future. Like, they're just getting these kids out of high school, right? DJ Pickett in the 2025 class, now a guy like Havon Finney. Those two are going to be, at least in my opinion, like some straight up lockdown cornerbacks for the next couple of years. And we all know like how important it is to trust your cornerbacks in this Coach Baker defense. Coach Baker wants to bring pressure. He wants to leave his cornerbacks on islands. And if you want to run the Coach Baker defense, you have to be able to trust your cornerbacks. And LSU is, they're landing some legitimate dudes who can handle themselves in the SEC out on islands. You look at Havon Finney, and when I use the term box checking, we look for three things normally when we're kind of talking about these defensive backs, making that step to the collegiate ranks. One, do you have the size and length? Havon Finney, 6'2", but the long arms and knows how to use that length along the line of scrimmage. Number two, straight line speed. Like, do you have the size and speed to run with some of these freaky wide receivers that we see in the SEC? Havon Finney does have the size. 10-8 in the 100-meter dash. Like, the long speed is certainly not a question. Then the ball skills, plays a little bit of a wide receiver spot at Sierra Canyon out there in California. He can go up and play the football. And I think the last thing that is kind of the cherry on top, that fourth thing that kind of separates the cornerbacks, is the movement skills, the ability to be fluid, the ability to mirror wide receivers, be sticky in man coverage. You're going to see that all over the film too. This is a dynamite get for LSU. And you take a look at what LSU is doing in 2026. They got 10 commitments in the fold, 8 of them bona fide blue chip guys. We know that LSU got off to a hot start at this time last year on the recruiting trail. Like, to me, it just feels a little bit different. Like what we saw LSU do in the portal over the last couple of months, now what we're seeing them do on the recruiting trail. I feel like Brian Kelly in the front office, kind of finally pulling in the same way. And it seems like they have things figured out. Want to get a little bit more into Havon Finney, talk about what he brings to the LSU defense. Before we get into it, as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. And from what it sounds like, LSU is going to have a big summer in terms of commitments. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into Havon Finney. You turn on the tape, and again, you start with the athletic profile, right? Do you have the prerequisite athletic traits to play high caliber football in the SEC? That's where it starts when you're talking about cornerbacks coming out of high school. Like we already talked about, Havon Finney has the athletic profile that you desire. And then you start turning on the film, and he's a polished up kid. And that's one of the things that, stands out to me is, yes, he's a reclassified kid from 2027 to 2026. I think the first conversation is, hey, with the accelerated timeline here, is he going to be ready to play SEC football in 12 months? You look at it and say he knows what he's doing on the football field. He combines the athletic profile that you want with a really polished up boundary cornerback. First play you see right here, and this is the definition of a man beater. Taking this wide receiver in motion, like, you're not supposed to see cornerbacks be able to close the distance like Havon Finney does. Big time closing speed, gets his head around, plays the football, really good ball skills. Gets eaten up by the turf monster. He was taking that one to the house. You continue to work through it. All right, let's go see him use that size and length. It's one thing to have the size and length. It's another thing to know how to use and go high point the football. Havon Finney can do that as well. Tracking it quite well, going up, making a play. These 50-50 balls for a lot of these top SEC wide receivers, they ain't 50-50 balls for a guy like Havon Finney. This is a good example. Hey, we're going to leave our cornerbacks on islands. Can you be sticky in man coverage against Modern Day, one of the best high schools in the country? This is what you want it to look like. Using your length at the line of scrimmage, right in the hip pocket of the wide receiver, and then when that football comes out, can you go play it? I mean, that's sticky in man coverage, and that's what you want to see, especially with this Coach Baker defense where you're going to be asked to handle your business out on an island by yourself. Closing the gap is probably another thing you want to talk about. He's a guy that can scrunch down and close down on throwing windows at an extremely high level, and then use his size to work around the body of the wide receiver. Those long arms, it is easy to get your hands on the football. Continue to work through it, and you just continue to love what you see. Again, being super sticky, not letting this wide receiver create any sort of separation. Then when that ball comes out, go make sure you're taking that football away. It's a big one for LSU. And then the thing that stands out to me is it's not necessarily the biggest class so far for LSU. This is your 10th commitment. It's blue chip city for LSU. And I think just as importantly, especially in the defensive backfield, you're getting guys that fit what you want to do. Like that was project number one. We all know that Coach Baker's a good defensive coordinator. Like Brian Kelly backed up the Brinks trucks to get Coach Baker to come to LSU because we know he's good at what he does. The second phase in this process of Coach Baker's, we got to get the personnel that I need to have a successful defense. Did it very well in the transfer portal, is doing it very well in the high school recruiting trail as well. You have to give a shout out to Corey Raymond. And I know his tenure at Florida maybe left a little bit to be desired. We all know he can recruit like the best of them. And you're seeing LSU here kind of, get their lick back at USC, right? USC gone down in the state of Louisiana, grabbing some top talent like Jakeem Stewart. Well, LSU is going to go into the city of Los Angeles and go grab one of the best players in the country and bring him down to LSU. Like, there you go. Really big win for Brian Kelly, Corey Raymond, Coach Baker on the recruiting trail. Really good football player that I think is going to play a lot of football for LSU over the next couple of years. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.